Hello, dear audience. My name is Antonia Rivas, and now I will present to you the paper and the analysis of the paper exploring language skills and teaching in relation to the teaching and learning of English as a second language. This case study examines how the four language skills listening, speaking, reading, and writing shape effective ESL instruction. In the context of ESL education, there is an increasing emphasis on the integrated skill teaching focused on supporting learners' communicative needs. It is highlighted that combining these skills leads to a more natural language use, and appropriate teaching methods are essential for improving learners' overall proficiency. This vision reinforces that successful teaching of English learners depends on skill-focused and learner-centered practices. Our objective is to analyze how these perspectives inform effective ESL teaching and how integrated skill development can enhance learning outcomes. This is important within the module because it connects classroom practice with key theories previously reviewed, such as integrated skills instruction, communicative language teaching. By linking both theory and practice, this case study helps illustrate why understanding language skills and teaching strategies is essential for effective ESL learning. Then we have the family and social background. The learner comes from a supportive environment in their family in which education is highly valued. Although limited exposure to English outside of school has shaped the pace of language development. The family's primary language at home is not English, which has contributed to reduced opportunities for authentic interaction in the target language. Socially, the learner engages actively within the community and maintains positive peer relationships. Yet most of these interactions also occur in the mother tongue. This social context has reinforced strong oral communication skills in the first language, while simultaneously creating challenges in the acquisition of English, particularly in listening and speaking tasks that require spontaneous or extended use. Despite this, the learner shows motivation to improve that benefits from a stable, encouraging home environment that supports academic progress. Then we have the personal characteristics of the learner, which demonstrates that they have a reflective and observant learning style, aligning with the document's emphasis on the importance of integrating different language skills in ESL development. Then the student exhibits strong receptive abilities, particularly in reading, but shows greater difficulty with productive skills such as speaking and writing, which require confidence and sustained practice. The learner's level of perseverance, willingness to follow instructions, and readiness to participate in class activities indicate developing communicative competence. Although occasional anxiety when using English in unfamiliar contexts can hinder performance. Overall, the learner's cognitive strengths, positive attitude, and growing metalinguistic awareness provide a foundation for continued progress in English as a second language.
Now, I will move on the theoretical implications of first language acquisition and second language acquisition, and how these ideas relate to the development of the four language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Our analysis is based on the case study of ECPI 2020, that effective English second language learning requires integrating all the four skills to support meaningful communication. To understand how second language skills develop, we must first look at first language acquisition using the work of Kidd and Donnelly's 2020. These authors explain that children grow up in environments that are highly variable, both linguistically and socially. This variability influences how they develop the foundational abilities that later support the four language skills previously mentioned. And there are three main areas for this. The first one is processing skills. Children first learn to process the continuous flow of speech, identifying patterns, recognizing sounds, and segmenting words. This early processing skill formed the basis of listening comprehension and later support spoken production. The second one is vocabulary development. Vocabulary size and speed of lexical processing determines how easily children understand and produce language. Rich vocabulary exposure helps them become stronger readers, clearer speakers, better listeners, and more confident writers. The third one is grammar acquisition. The exposure of different sentence structures helps children internalize the grammar of their language. This later influences their ability to form sentences, both orally and in writing. Overall, Kidd and Donnelly show that L1 development lays the cognitive and linguistic foundation needed for the four skills to emerge. In our report's second section, we focus specifically on reading, one of the four core skills. In the context of second language learning, reading involves more than simply decoding words. It requires vocabulary knowledge, it requires processing written information, and also constructing meaning from the text. The theoretical implications here emphasize that instructional practices play a key role in how second language learners develop their reading proficiency. And also, it is important to have the explicit decoding instructions that helps learners connect sounds to letters, which supports accurate reading. The second one is teaching comprehension strategies, such as monitoring, understanding, or making predictions, which help learners build meaning from the text. And the last one is vocabulary development, which is one of the strongest predictors of reading comprehension and supports all other skills as well. These strategies align with the broader argument made by ECPI 2020 that effective second language instruction requires practices that make language input comprehensible and connect reading to listening, speaking, and writing activities. For example, reading supports vocabulary for speaking. It improves structures used in writing and reinforces input needed for listening. To conclude, both first language acquisition research by Kidd and Donnelly's 2020 and the second language acquisition principles reflected in ECPI 2020 show that language development is shaped by the environment, by exposure, and by the quality of instruction. Most importantly, by understanding how these processes develop in L1 and L2, we can better support learners across all four language skills, listening, reading, speaking, and writing, which is the central theme of our paper.
As a group, we came to recognize that one of the core challenges in teaching English as a second language is supporting English language learners who often carry double of the work of their native English-speaking peers. Through our discussion and shared experience, we realized that effective ESL instruction must be intentional, student-centered, and culturally responsive. Resources like Principles and Practices of Teaching English Language Learners by Gupta have helped us clarify how essential is to truly know the students, not just their proficiency level, but the fullness of their cultural background, lived experience, and personal identity. We all agreed that even small gestures such as learning a student's name correctly or using a phrase in their home language can help them create a welcoming and respectful environment. We also reflected that on the importance of building background knowledge, since domain-specific understanding is so crucial for reading comprehension, and because ELLs are expected to reach grade level proficiency quickly, we see student-centered, low-stress learning environment as non-negotiable. Students need to take risks, make mistakes, and participate without fear of constant correction. Another shared insight was the value of integrating the four language skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, rather than isolating them, because communication in the real world blends these skills and our instruction should as well be. Approaches like content-based instruction and task-based instruction stood out to us as especially effective. Many of us found TBI meaningful because it allows learners to focus on accomplishing real tasks and experiences and expressing meaning rather than worrying about perfect grammar. With assessment centered on completing the task itself, it is important to provide comprehensible input through multiple modalities: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic, and the use of technology such as Rewardify to simplify complex tests can support understanding without lowering expectation. Finally, assessment should be ongoing and multimodal, incorporating visual diagrams, oral responses, and written work to capture a fuller picture of a student's understanding. During oral communication, we recommend focusing on the content of student messages rather than interrupting for every grammar or pronunciation issue, since constant correction discourages participation and idea sharing. Overall, our group reflection reinforced that ESL pedagogy requires empathy, flexibility, and intentionality. By centering students' identity, integrating meaningful tasks, and creating low-stress supporting environments, we believe teachers can help ELLs thrive academically and linguistically. To enhance second language acquisition, it is highly recommended to engage in regular speaking practice to build fluency and confidence. Supplement this with language learning apps, which offer interactive exercise and vocabulary building. Immersing yourself in the language through entertainment such as watching English movies, English films, can significantly improve listening comprehension and familiarization with natural speech patterns. Additionally, cultivate a habit of reading English books to expand vocabulary, grasp grammatical structure, and develop a deeper understanding of the language in context. We can conclude that effective ESL instruction must strategically integrate the four language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, to foster more natural language use and enhance overall proficiency. While the specific learner benefits from a supportive home life, the limited exposure to English outside school presents a key challenge in spontaneous speaking and listening tasks, highlighting the influence of the socio-communicative environment on language development. Ultimately, the report strongly recommends a student-centered, culturally responsive, and intentional pedagogical approach, advocating for low-stress environments, the use of text-based instruction, and multimodal, content-focused feedback to empower English language learners to successfully progress both linguistically and academically.
Now, these are our references. Badi and Aziz, integration of four skills. This has no date. ECPI 2020, exploring language skills and teaching in relation to the teaching and learning of English as a second language. Kidd and Donnelly's 2020, individual differences in first language acquisition. And Gupta 2019, principles and practices of teaching English language learners. Thank you for your attention.